I am feeling truly demented at the moment.
Demented mean what? Mad, no?
Yes, crazy.
Yeah. I want to make sure because I sometimes misunderstand. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's happening. I mean, I see expectations for peace seem to be dropping into peace very beautifully, and that's around Christmas came to I went into hospital for a week because they thought that I'd had a heart attack, but it turns out I hadn't had a heart attack. One evening I just thought I was going to die, and I sat down, and it's not something that has happened previously before, and I understand this is a good thing. I think I sit back with this, and with the sensations are like I've never felt before. There's so much power to them, so savage. So hugely more than I've ever known, and I couldn't. I just would spend the night walking around because I could not be with this, and I ongoingly there's periods where everything's very very fine, and I don't feel. I see the ego mind going on louder than ever, but it seems to be a quietness in all of it as well, except when this comes, and it's not. I know you see me, and I don't. I just do my best to watch everything, and to be with everything, and then it comes. It's like a switch. Sometimes it just comes on in a flash, and then it goes again, and then it's very peaceful again, and I feel transparent. Then it's just I just don't understand. I just don't know.
In our culture, in our conditioning, we absorb a kind of collective judgment that if you don't know what's going on, you're mad. But also some culture have said that when someone absolutely doesn't know what's going on and admits they don't know what's going on, it's called wise also. So everything depends on how comfortable you are with it. If you don't know what's going on, actually there's a lot more truth in that. It can seem we know a lot of what's going on. Or we can think we know what seems to be going on. But to actually know what is going on, nobody knows. And when you keep it up, pretending that you do, you bring a tremendous burden to yourself. What is going on? It's such a hugely broad question in one way. If I say, what's happening at the moment, in this instant, I can ask one person and they can say, well, listen, man, there's so many things going on, I can't count. And I can turn to another and say, what about you? What's going on? You can say, absolutely nothing is going on. And I can say, you're right. And you are right also. Because what determines whether something is going on or not is only something inside your own head. If the mind says, this thing has happened, then we believe it's an event. This thing has happened. If it doesn't register anything as an event, effectively, experientially, nothing has happened. So whether something happens or not is not a fact. It's only a fact of perception. What I can say, in another way of saying what I'm wanting to say also, is that all that you have described can take place in terms of your feeling. Some people have intense panic attack and you feel, I am going to die. Ramana Maharshi was one of them also. But the response to that can be very varied. For some people, they'll really start falling apart. Another one will be completely silent. Another one may even be happy even. So what it shows is that the thing in itself is not its reaction, is not the reaction to it. You see? And if you pay attention to the consciousness in which all these seeming events take place inside, you will find that there is a stillness which you have admitted actually, which is probably due to the fruits of your own sadhana, your own practice, your own understanding so far. Perhaps have been very supportive for you, has enabled you to have an experience like this and to be actually quite peaceful in yourself to a large extent, isn't it? But you did say there is a kind of peace, a kind of quiet until this happens, and I want to know what is this that you refer to.
There's a willingness, and I've said this when the peace is here, just anything come, I don't care. This is a place where it all can come, and it seems I must be willing to take anything, because this is what is here. What comes in the moment it can be anything.
Yeah.
And so I say this, and I say this with a confidence, with a peace that is so strong. And then when it comes, the expression is like clay ankles, or it's just the sensation was just I suppose just too much.
When it comes, it refers to what?
Bodily sensations.
Panic attack,
Yes.
whatever. When that is present,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
your knees turn to water.
That's right. Yeah.
But that you said also, but even that can be so, that even if something happens and your knees turn to water, but that's also a sensation occurring in the consciousness, isn't it?
Yes.
I really am saying this because all of this is possible. I gave an example some time ago, even here I think I talked about it, that in a satsang that was taking place in Bombay, in the house of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaja, the master had been talking for some time, and one of the people attending the gathering stood up and spoke, and he said, "Sir, I've been listening to you speak, and I'm deeply touched by your words. But if I am to be honest, I have to admit that I am always experiencing suffering." And the master says, "No, this is not true. You are not experiencing suffering. You are suffering, you are experiencing. You are not experiencing suffering. You are suffering, you are experiencing." What a powerful twist. Most people imagine, oh yes, there's one suffering after another, and no, he says, no, this is not true. Can you show a sample of suffering? That you're crying, that's not a suffering. Suffering is when you have a lot of identity and you believe and you panic yourself in somehow. He's putting back a choice. He says, it's not that you're experiencing suffering. You're suffering, you're experiencing, meaning that there's a way of also experiencing without suffering. What is this way? If you're not identified with it, how can you not be identified when this is almost all what we have taught? That something is happening to you, life is unkind, life is unfair, life is giving you a break, and all of this kind of stuff. Good luck, bad luck, all of these things. So we develop a kind of highly sensitive attitude towards a lot of what you may call created phobias and taboos and so on. the one who has come to see, just like, can anybody here say that the life that you have lived up until now, every step of the way is what you have imagined it to be? Can you say this thing? Can you say, I knew exactly the friends I would meet in this life, where I would live, I knew all these things? Is there anything that you knew beforehand so clearly? When you came here today, do you know who you'll be sitting next to? Do you know what you would have been feeling just about now at 5:06? Do you know anything? We know nothing at all about it. It's only a discovery that we are making. So some beings come to a place of honesty and they say straightforwardly, you see, I am not responsible for this, whatever this is. Somehow something inside me observes, something reacts due to perhaps my conditioning and so on. Reactions take place, but even those actions and reactions and interactions themselves are being watched from someplace here. And there is a serenity in the perceiving now. Whereas in the not long ago, there would be a lot of anxiety and all of these things might happen. So that much has changed. And with recognizing that I'm not responsible for the emotions that arises in me. They simply arise like waves on the surface of the ocean. They are felt, they are tasted. But I cannot say I am overwhelmed. Whatever the I would be that is overwhelmed is only itself an idea. Is it possible to come to this type of seeing? Changes the way in which we identify with actions and reactions that take place. And more, those who are really drawn towards this understanding and search for greater light and come to find a deepening peace inside that is not reacting to this life of this manifest consciousness. It's not that you are dead, not that you're unfeeling. Everything is allowed to be felt and expressed and experienced. But there is not identity with it. And what does one lose if you cease identify with the functioning of the senses? What do you lose? And you can speak from experience. You lose absolutely nothing at all except anxiety and fear, all these things. They will not follow you around. They will not be your shadow. There's a life that is our truer life, a truer life. That seems sometimes to be hidden or eclipsed. Because our attention goes to a life of projections and fears and identity. And our lives are changing, willingly or unwillingly. But the more that we are open to really examine, to look, to say yes to come forward in openness, to say, yes, I am up for this journey. I'm up for really feeling the sense of risk and challenges. I'm up for whatever cathartic reactions a true and authentic search for truth may stir up in me. I'm up for it. I wish to be free. I wish to spend my life in this way. Then such beings, they will go beyond suffering. For sure they will do it. For sure you will do it. We are not different from grace. It's just another name for what we are. But the more somehow our attention dwells only at the body-mind level of functioning, then we are not sitting inside the fullness of our own being. We'll live a life that is often beset by some sort of insecurity, some anxiety, some avoidance, some judgment. We're not fully at peace with ourselves. We are co-creators in this existence. There is the universal being and the way that it manifests in each instrument which we call our body. It's a unique portrait. Each face, each life is one of God's self-portrait. There's much we can discover, and you don't have to travel for that, at least not outwardly. There's not a great deal that we need to learn. There's a few things that it's very important to come to discover. They will open great doors into the space of freedom. A little trust is required. Even if you say that for a portion of time your mind, emotions and body seem to be possessed by some force, that even if you could say something like that, that seems to just be in a kind of chaos, there is still that presence inside you which is untouched. And we must come to recognize and be one with that presence, from where perceiving of every phenomena take place. This is the real fruit of authentic spiritual research, is that you come into a state, actually, as far as perceiving and reacting to the world, something becomes exquisitely detached. And detachment does not mean coldness. It doesn't mean that you're without feeling. In fact, with the state of detachment, a lot of beauty shines. A soberness, a purity, a peace that shines out of that. It is possible to feel the most dynamic pulsations of the mind and emotion and still inside be in total serenity and peace. Does anybody know this or not? They don't cancel out each other as we are given to think that they do. So vast is that being that there is enough room for every sensation to have its momentary play. Sometimes you may even get into a fight with someone, verbally or physically, and it's possible that inwardly in the core of your being there is still a conscious silence and peace, an untouched presence. Such is the greatness of consciousness. And we are not different from consciousness. But conditioning somehow places us, you may say, into a position of tremendous limitation. If you consider yourself to be only your personality, your body and thinking, then that is already a contraction, a limitation. I am not sitting here asking you to think differently only, but something more subtle and greater, to open up your being to the possibility of coming to complete self-discovery, to come to a place inside yourself where almost every being inside your body says yes to the adventure of self-discovery. When you do, you will not be handed a manual of how to live and how to be. It's almost like automatically the inner gates open. Some things may arise for you that you will not be able to put into words. You will just notice that some ways of thinking and feeling fall away by themselves. This is grace.
Can I share something else?
Yeah.
Something which is a big part of what some of the sensations and emotions and so on that have been there is huge concern for how I appear.
Yeah.
You know, the self-image. It's like it's raging to be protected. It's like the importance of being seen in the right light, the importance of being liked, of being respected, of being loved. In the watching of the things that have been going on, those were less intense, but still such powerful drive in those things, and it was just an opportunity to share, to speak that, because I see after a couple of days of being here, I just saw just how much that means, how important that is, and how easily I slip into that concern for that, and the protection of that. And I just found myself almost incapable of bothering. I mean, I couldn't go through the motions that I would normally do of even being kind, because there's people here I love very dearly, you know. And I just felt not that I don't want contact, I don't want to play the old games. And it's not like that is all it's about. There is great love there, you know, but it is this taintedness with that. And I see this on the other side of this like a detachment and the freedom to just to simply be in love. And that is all that matters. And I didn't know. It feels like this death, this unwillingness to let go. It's a sort of an arrogance and I feel it.
It's a fear.
Yes.
It's a fear. That somehow is being expressed as arrogance. It's actually fear, because whatever started this is fighting for survival. It has created an identity that it could live in. But such a burden, such a pressure, the need to be seen or to be respected or to be appreciated, all these things that we know so well. And I have to say that I'm very happy to watch you express and expose these things. There's a generosity in exposing them, because we don't easily show our weaknesses. There is a strength in showing weaknesses. They are your mind's weaknesses and not your being's weakness. But we have been so somehow cultured to identify and to live as mind. The idiosyncrasies we as consciousness have taken on, the mental identity, the psychological identity, the self-portrait as expressed through egoic thinking. And this is why we feel so protective and so vulnerable. Consciousness is living somehow under a state of temporary hypnosis in the belief, I am only this person, you see. And there's a self-consciousness which is not true self-consciousness. It's a psychological self-consciousness. It's a self-image that is made out of great pain, actually, isn't it?
Yes.
So when you can express that and say, yes, it is true, then you allow others to step out of themselves to follow behind you. You don't come here with that intention, but by exposing that these things do come to light or something like that. And in a place like this, because this is a great place, because there's not many other distractions here. When you come to Sahaja, we don't have movies going on, we don't have other things, we don't have restaurants and nothing like that here. And most people are not going to have space to listen to your personal epic. So there is a nakedness to that. And so feelings do come up very strongly. But what a great opportunity, no?
Yes.
Yeah. To feel that and still say yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Step into this fire, like I say, of self-discovery. This fire will not burn you, but it will burn what you are not. Take that risk.
It feels like there's a cost that I've always been willing to pay.
Yeah.
And I've just had enough of it. It just seemed to be inconceivable to live in a world where I didn't take care of being loved. I didn't take care and protect that. But it's just so much pain involved in the absurd projections that I see coming back and forward. And I know these aren't real. And I see them again and again, just saying, watch these.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't know what it... I feel... Occasionally I've been in Satsang and I just started to laugh. And I know what I'm laughing at. Once when I was sitting in front of you, I just like sing over the top of this, and it just seemed so funny that it should be so important.
Yeah.
And I feel the freedom in that. I feel the freedom in this.
Yeah.
Wow, it's just nothing. This is nothing.
Yeah.
And then it locks back into place again.
Yeah.
And I'm back caring about absurd things. And
Yeah. When it locks back into place, is it not still nothing?
it seems to be... There seems to be more space with it. There seems to be... It's not... I mean, in I think my early life, I was absolutely terrified as a child of everything. You know, I would do things. I'd go off to India. I'd do all kinds of things, but I'd go there terrified. You know, and I've been scared to death of people all my life.
Yeah.
Frightened of what they might do or say.
What is the worst thing? Can we say like that? And if everyone in their own light search for that thing, which is the worst case scenario? Because very often, what is it that the mind can blackmail you with? Let's put it like that. You know? Like, yeah, this thing, I don't mind, I can go. This one, whoa, don't touch this. You know? Don't come near this wall. What is it that we are really afraid that's the last card? I don't want to, don't come near this thing. And to just check in with these things. Or what's as bad as it can get in your projection? Put some pictures to your thoughts and see how far it can go. What do you watch? What can you watch happen? That you're going to die? everybody gather around you, and you find yourself naked and covered in shit in the middle of the street, and there's nowhere to cover, and everybody's going, yeah. I mean, what is your horror story? Because sometimes it's good to invite it consciously at what is it that keeps us living on that hesitation or that hesitant breath, that you don't exhale, that you don't breathe out. You're constantly holding something tight. Well, what is it that we are afraid will happen? It is good exercise to look and say, okay, you don't have to speak it out, but look and see what it is. What is your private terror? Because I invite the people to come and to look at that and to go through that. And to really see freshly from your true place, with your true eyes. Because something keeps us, not just in the body, nothing wrong with being in the body, but keeps us like a prisoner in the body. Being in the body can be great, fine. Who is here? I said, this is a mortal body. It's a time body. But the timeless being is moving in it. It's a mortal body, but the immortal one is living in it. What is the purpose of this existence? What keeps us here? What keeps us afraid here? It is important to look. Is to live to be also afraid? Even fear has its own gift. Because sometimes fear, some people say shyness, I don't want to be shy. One person was saying to me, I come sometimes to speak with you, but I feel this tremendous shyness. I'd like you to help me to get over it. I said, no, it's not my business to get you out of shyness. The shyness may even be helping you. Because perhaps if you were not shy, you'd be very arrogant. Who knows? If you're not shy, you'll be hey, man, look at me. Maybe not. So it's not shyness. You get over shyness doesn't mean the opposite of shyness is freedom. It's not. Sometimes fear is there somehow, because if you are not really afraid about something, maybe you'll be a very arrogant person. Who knows? I would rather not put energy on trying to get someone beyond fear, but rather energy to help you to recognize the truth of who you are. That's more important, because that will take care of everything else. Very good. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you.
It is good. It is good. It is good. When I hear people, they speak out from such place, feel tremendous love. Sometimes they feel vulnerable and naked and kind of like, wow, I really put myself into a vulnerable position. But actually, the contrary thing happened, is you feel tremendous love and a strength, a beauty that you have not chosen to identify further with what is not true, and that you can feel these waves, these energies, because it is part of the play of the human expression of consciousness, that we will have all of this, and somehow to evolve beyond the grip of egoic thinking. All this is possible. saying.